Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
We're here with a very familiar face that's hopefully not blocked by this plant over here. Mita, Mallick, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted.
They say the third time it's a charm.
I hope so. Here we go.
What are we talking about today? Today is I don't know what day, the 18th? The 18th of March, 2025. What is the current state of DEIMB? Where are we right now? What is happening?
Well, I think the current state is one that saddens me. A lot happening in the world, but I'm thinking about it in the following way. One, I'm thinking about how I can microdose the news. I know some people don't have the privilege of doing that, especially if you're client-facing or working with the government, but I'm not trying to watch the news 24/7.
No.
Morning, lunch, evening, just so I know what's going on.
Shut those alerts off.
Alerts, all of it. You don't need to be drowning in it. I think the second thing I'm doing is finding people to be in community and conversation with, like you, my friend, and surrounding myself with people who want to have these conversations, and also thinking about how I can use my energy and time. If I'm not happy with how things are currently happening in this country, I can donate, call my legislature, I can volunteer. And then I think the last thing I'll offer is I am looking to understand and seek perspectives that aren't my own. And so out of the people who voted in this country, half of the country is happy with the current administration and happy with diversity, equity, and inclusion being canceled, rolled back. So I call the Stephen Covey quote into mind, which is begin with the end in mind. And if you want to enter these conversations, and we talk a lot about this in social media, like don't get into random fights with people you don't know.
Just stay away from them.
Or also just like, I agree to disagree.
Right.
I love you, I respect
Move
you,
on.
but I don't want to finish this conversation.
And I think we're in such a divisive time, and,
Yeah.
and unfortunately the election did this. And I saw it with my own friends group,
Yeah.
where people automatically made assumptions about people based on who they voted for. And it's really dangerous
It is, yeah.
because I have a lot of good friends who voted one way or another way that now they just get into these battles. I'm like, how is this productive? This is counterproductive.
Yeah.
Just remember why you guys are friends, and let's just leave the freaking politics out of it.
So imagine if
But it's
you can't show up with kindness and respect at the kitchen table, you can't do it at the conference room table,
No.
which is why a lot of companies do not want us having these conversations at work because we don't know how to have them, right? So I could have a conversation with you and you could share a different perspective than me, and I could say, thanks, I learned something and I don't agree with that, but I appreciate you sharing.
Right.
That's all.
It's about positioning and responsiveness and not being combative,
Exactly.
right? And not saying, oh,
You're a bad
everyone who
person.
voted for Trump is a racist, and everyone who
Yes,
voted
yeah.
for Kamala is a snowflake. Like, what?
Why?
Why?
Yeah,
How about we understand why? What are their values? And I align with people who have the same values.
Yeah.
I have friends that voted one way that were aligned on values. I have friends that voted the other way that were aligned on values. But that's not where we stand here. And why does this have to trickle into the workplace?
Why does it have to? Here's what I'll say. I recently read an article in the New York Times that talked about the decline in organized religion. Now, why is that important? Less people are going to temple, churches, synagogues, mosques, and organized religion is the oldest form of community. And so since the pandemic, we've seen a rise in the epidemic of loneliness, and people are showing up to work, which is only one piece of community, but all of a sudden they're expecting their employer to do everything because they're losing community in other parts of their lives.
They don't have a place to communicate.
Right, but work provides some of that, but it shouldn't provide all of it. And yet now I come to work and I expect people to be my counselor, my therapist, my best friend,
Right.
my coach, all of these things, because there is, as the Edelman Trust Barometer will tell us, a decline in trust in government.
Second time I've heard that today.
Yes, and people are relying on businesses more and more. They expect a lot from their workplaces. We were never built to do all this. And so people want to have these conversations, not at the kitchen table sometimes, the conference room table.
And it's causing conflict.
Yes, but people don't know how to have those conversations.
I do understand when companies say, no politics in the workplace, but also in the same breath, we're humans. And if we're showing up in an office and we're communicating with people, you have to create a safe space for it. And I think there's boundaries that have to be established.
Sure.
What do you see from a best practice perspective?
Best practice perspective is companies who, you have to have individuals who are ready to have these conversations and know when to exit them, right? And so like you have to be ready to hear things that you're not comfortable hearing, and that's the hardest part of leadership. So why can't we do that? If I enter a conversation with you and you say something that surprises me, okay, I'm going to sit with it. I don't have to agree with you, but I don't have to shame you and blame you.
I don't have to also respond right away.
I have to respond right away. But I think we've lost the ability to disagree with kindness and respect. It's a skill that we've lost how to do. And so the people who are doing it best are the people who can do that. And the people who say, you know what, this conversation is making me uncomfortable. Right. I really respect you, and we're going to stop it right now. Is that cool? And you'll say, yeah, of course.
We've lost the ability to have respectful debate
in
this country. I blame the media for that. You know what? I'm done talking about that nonsense. You know what? It's just like... It's over. So I want to talk about building community, something that you are an expert in, something that you take a lot of pride in. That's why we connected. We connected on LinkedIn. I can't believe this is the first time I'm talking about LinkedIn today. So I don't think I've even checked my LinkedIn today, which is crazy. I lie. I checked my LinkedIn like 12 times already today. What have you found some of the best, most effective ways to build a true community on LinkedIn?
Don't engage in pods, which you taught me. Just kidding. I actually didn't know what a pod was until you told me. I didn't know people did that.
Cheat.
It's like buying friends or buying likes or
buying friends. It's buying engagement. Yes.
Right. I had no idea until you told me. I love to show up with a mindset of teaching and learning and just sharing things that are happening in my life and things I've observed in the workplace. And when you do that, it's surprising how people will show up and be like, and that's what it's about. And also, in return, the algorithm is the algorithm. I don't always see your things, but I try to look you up and I'll be like, oh, I'm thinking of Adam today. Let me see what he posted. You had a picture of your mentor the other day that I loved. There was so much joy in that photo. So that's what it's about. My friend Callie Schweitzer, who works at LinkedIn, that's a platform of generosity, right? So I love the community. Yeah, I've met so many. I wouldn't have met you without LinkedIn.
No, I don't think so. And that's also the magic. And it's also the magic of live, in-person connections. The internet and social media is not going to replace that. What advice would you give for maybe folks that are a few seasons into their career that have been kind of scared about LinkedIn, or maybe they thought it was just a resume or a job platform, but now they're seeing their friends and colleagues showing up and generating business and networking opportunities? What advice would you give someone maybe further along in their career to dip their toes into the LinkedIn water?
I mean, it's a missed opportunity not to build your thought leadership. I know you would agree with that. Start by commenting, right? If you're not comfortable enough to post something yet, start by commenting. And you know what? It's okay to say congrats, Adam. Because when I was anxious and shy, I wouldn't have been able to do more than that. I might not have been able to politely disagree with your post, right? Yes. That's a lot. But I could say congrats, happy for you, etc. And start building that confidence, and then try posting 1 to 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, just things that you're reading.
Give it a shot, right?
Pictures, and it's consistency. That's my, as you know, underrated superpower. Consistency is key.
The first step is the hardest, right?
Yeah, the first step is hardest, and you start getting...
Hey everyone, we'll jump right back into the conversation, but first let's talk about a game changer in hiring, Greenhouse. Greenhouse is the leading hiring platform that helps companies get measurably better at hiring. Because when it comes to building great teams, every hire should be the right hire. With Greenhouse, you don't just fill roles, you transform your hiring with a structured process that ensures fairness, removes bias, and enables data-driven decisions. AI-powered workflows in Greenhouse streamline every step from sourcing top talent to personalizing the candidate experience, allowing recruiters to focus on strategic, high-impact hiring that drives real business outcomes. The result? A faster, more efficient process that turns talent into a true competitive advantage. Over 7,500 companies, including HubSpot, Duolingo, Gong, JD Power, and Scout24, trust Greenhouse to optimize their hiring process and take candidates from talented prospects to top performers. And it's not just the best hiring platform, it's also a great place to work. Greenhouse has been recognized by Fortune, Inc. magazine, Glassdoor, Forbes, and more as a top workplace. Want to hire better, faster, and more fairly? Visit greenhouse.com today and get ready to hire for what's next. All right, back to the show.
So now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to get to the sneak preview of what's happening. So Mita is already an accomplished author. Everyone check out her first book. We're going to link it up in the comments there. Remind me the title.
Reimagine Inclusion, Debunking 13 Myths to Transform Your Workplace.
What's it all about, and who should pick up that book?
It's for anyone who wants to create a more inclusive, resilient workplace. And it's all about the stories we tell ourselves about the workplace that aren't true, that hold us back from making meaningful progress.
What amazing opportunities has that book opened up for you?
I can't even tell you. I mean, being on your podcast, that's the first time we met.
I mean, that's like
no, but still, I admired you for a while and was listening to your podcast, and the book came out and you had me on. Second book deal.
Let's talk about it. First of all, I'll talk about the title, and I love this title. The devil emails at midnight, what good leaders can learn from bad bosses. A little bit of a mouthful, but it's super impactful.
Yes.
I love it. The devil. When I saw that title, I'm like, yes, it slaps, as the kids say, because there's nothing. Listen, if there's deadlines, if shit has to get done, I understand it. I've sent emails at midnight. I've received emails at midnight. Every once in a blue moon, when there's a need to back up that email, fine. But when it becomes a habit, it's indicative of toxic culture. That's negative.
It is.
Talk to us about this book. What's it all about?
So the genesis of the book is my mother's home was flooded a few years ago. I raced to try to save her home. It was rebuilt, but my childhood bedroom was destroyed. So I was like looking for all these things to save. I found like my spelling bee certificate from the first grade and
You're a spelling nerd.
writing. Yeah, like all these things I had saved. And guess what I found, Adam? I found a journal and I had listed all my bad bosses in my 20s.
No way.
And their names. And I thought
You had
to
a hate
myself,
book? You had a shame book?
Yeah, a slam book. What did the kids
Slam
call
book?
it? Yeah. And I thought to myself, what if I'm in someone's list? Like, what if I was a bad boss for someone? Because, you know, we've talked a lot, I talk a lot about how to survive toxic workplaces and bad bosses, but what if I am the bad boss? So the premise is bad bosses aren't born, they're made, they're a product of their circumstance and life experiences. And I go through 13 bad bosses. I'm one of them at the end. And I talk about different bad boss behaviors. Yeah, I talk about the last chapter is the boss who couldn't grieve and couldn't show up for her team. And I lost my dad suddenly in 2017. I went from being a really good leader to an awful boss because I wasn't grieving, lost my dad really suddenly, showed up at work 3 weeks in. My boss then said, oh, you're finally getting your mojo back. So it was almost like, you know, I'd gotten the flu and I was supposed to get over it. So people around me were like, okay, it's time to move on. And it was hard. It was really hard.
I want to dig into this a little bit. This idea of just because you're a bad boss doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Absolutely.
And I think that stems a lot from lack of training and lack of leadership. They don't have good mentors. They don't have examples, and maybe they lean into their insecurities. They lean into their weaknesses, and that reflects their negative, toxic style.
Yeah.
What is the best practices for a leader to kind of turn that mirror around and say, am I a bad freaking boss?
You have to ask for feedback, and you have to be willing to hear it, right? You have to ask for feedback from your team and be willing to hear it, and to be thinking about. Sometimes people will say things in whispers. They'll tell you what's happening, but you don't listen to those things, right? Right.
And to create a safe space for your employees to give you that feedback because without retribution, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like, hey, Mita, we'll get a role play here. Mita, I'm Mita's boss, and I'm like, hey, Mita, tell me what makes me a bad boss. Imagine that in the workplace. Like that would never work.
It would never work. But that's when you do 360s, and when someone gives you
Anonymous.
feedback. I talk about this in the book that I had a boss who then had like a witch hunt and gathered everybody to figure out who said what. And you're like, that's not the point, right? Now you're punishing people for what they said about you and your management style. So that doesn't work either. Don't ask for feedback if you don't want it.
When's the new book coming out?
September 30th. I can't wait.
Mita's like, I could come on your show with Transform. We could do it. But I want to come back on when I have the book out. I'm like, we could do both. Really not a big deal. What are you looking to get out of this event?
I just want to meet new people. I'm looking to reconnect with old friends like yourself, but also just looking to meet people. And what an amazing community you've had in.
Looking to meet people. Are you doing anything fun in Vegas? Are you like going to do a show? Anything?
No,
I never do shows on work trips.
I'm only here for like a day and a half. My son's on spring break and I'm going home with the
You
kids.
just dipped in.
I know.
Did you speak today? Are you speaking tomorrow?
Speaking tomorrow at 11 a.m. Yeah.
We're competing. We're speaking at the same time.
Good luck. Congrats. I will watch the replay.
Everyone knows where the crowd's going to be.
No.
Everyone knows what the crowd's going to be. Let's finish strong here. Mita, what's making you smile these days?
My kids, all of our kids. A lot of hope in the future. There is. They ground us, don't they? They do.
You like
remind us what's important.
It's so funny. My kids are young. My kids are 13 and 7, and like my daughter. Thank God she looks like her mom, but she acts like me.
I know she interviewed me.
Yeah, she did.
She was really good.
My daughter interviewed her. Yes, the pause. The pause is strong with Nina, and I look at her, and she does some of the dumbest shit ever, and I'm like, it's exactly what I would have done. Or the way she talks to my wife, I'm like, no, why? I'm like, why are you doing that? I'm like, no, she's gonna kill you. Don't talk to her like that. And you look at them, and then the others, I'm kidding. Kidding, not kidding. But you look at them and you see how good they are and their values, and it reflects back on us as parents that we're raising them the right way and we're doing the right thing. And, you know, I always say this all the time. My legacy, my wife's legacy is making this world a better place by empowering our children to be better than us.
Absolutely.
And I live it every day. And listen, we're not, as parents, we're not going to bat 1,000. We're not going to be perfect, but we try.
We try. My dad used to always say the greatest measure of success is your children. How you raise them to be kind and inclusive people.
Awesome. Mita, Mallick, everybody on the podcast. Where can folks find you? Where can they connect? Where can they learn more?
LinkedIn, and my book is available to pre-order on Amazon, The Devil Emails at Midnight, What Good Leaders Can Learn from Bad Bosses. Thanks for having me.
Mita, Mallick on the podcast.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon, jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search the podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.